All right, let's go to the Pursuit directly. I'm going to change the format. It seems like the Shabbos format works extremely well. It's very crisp, and I only use basically 40 minutes, but it goes very, very crisp on one idea. I know I like to give a lot more, but let's see how it's gonna come out, and B'ez Hashem will be guided. Parasha starts this week. Re'ei anoichi noisen lifneichem hayoy. Very interesting language to start a parsha. See. Someone talks to you and tells you, see, something is wrong. When Moshe Rabbeinu, finally on the last day, he's gonna start, talking to the Bnei Yisroel about his last words, he's gonna say, ha'azinu, listen. But here, no. He's gonna say, re'ei. He's gonna give them a tremendous side, tremendous secret. See. Anoichi, me, I'm going to give it to you. No, you're only repeating the Torah. You're not giving us nothing. That's what's happening the last few parashas. We've been talking since Parashas Canaan that Moshe Rabbeinu is repeating all the Torah to the Bnei Yisroel. So why do you say Anoichi, noisen lifneichem? Oh, you're giving us, but it's not something you give. You are saying. So why are you using a language of giving? The verb here is wrong. So what do you give before us today? Because in case we're going to think it was yesterday you gave it to us. Okay. It has to be mentioned. It's going to be repeated this Hayoim non-stop. Today. You give us the bracha and the klala. Whoa, now you got my attention. We got the blessing and the curse. The truth is, look at the next two words of the pasuk, es ha-beracha. I'm intrigued by this. Beracha, you should have said ha-beracha veha-kelala, because you're talking here with the hey idea, the beracha. Because what is the beracha? When you listen to the Mitzvos of Hashem. And what is hakelala? The curse, if you're not listening to the Mitzvos. So is beracha uklala a third breed? Or is it talking? Because then you could have taken this out, this whole thing out. I'm going to show you. Cut. Re'eh anoisi noisen ifnechem hayoim es ha-beracha. That's it. So why do I have to have this beracha klalo? What is it and what's the meaning of it? Not going to have time to get there, but I would like to show you for your own self. Here it says, es ha-beracha, you receive the bracha. It should have said if, not that. If you look at the klala, it says if. So why it says here that? Just to bring a little bit of more, paying attention to the language of the pasuk and the different changes in another thing. If you want, just I'll give it to you. Re'ei, see, singular. I give before you, plural. So are you talking to one or are you talking to all? So all Bnei Yisroel were gathered. So the same way you said ha'azinu in plural, listen, you should have said re'u, see in plural. Because you're addressing all the Bnei Yisroel. Women, children, everybody was there. So why are you talking singular? Let's just focus. I'm going to focus exactly on this beracha and klala. The rest, Shabbos Shir, you know, it's going to be, we're going to go deeper, the next level, as usual. But for now, we have to understand. We started last week. It's a continuation of last week. Birkas Hashem hi tashir. Everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to have parnasa without suffering, without difficulties, without challenges. Remember, always keep in mind, parnasa is so close to the person because it's gematria neshama, so it's not something unusual. People want money. No, his neshama is directly connected. I can only have peace of mind. I can only accomplish the mitzvahs if I have parnasa. A person without parnasa will see what he is. We're going to learn from the biggest tzaddikim when this happened to them, how they reacted. We're going to learn a fortiori then for us. Rabbi Bachaye and this is just an introduction to the Shabbos Shir, because I would have not mentioned it in this shir, but it has, I love Rabbi Bachaye more than life. God knows that. And his words to me are always deciphering the language of the Ramban. If you know how to learn Rabbi Bachaye, Ramban wrote everything in code. It's codified, his language. People have a very hard time understanding the Ramban. And it's all about Pshat, Ramban. So you have to know how to decipher also to learn the Rabbi Bachaye, because he gives you the meaning of the words of his Rebbe. His Rebbe was a Ramban, and he understood very well. So he can hand us. He's going to go like this. When Moshe Rabbeinu says Re'eh, he's talking to only a few singulars, people that are of level. When he says Noisen Nifnechem Hayoim, he talks plural, he talks to the masses. Now, if you have, let's say, Am Yisrael had for sure, because if we're looking for Sdoim to have a minyan, then for sure there was a minyan of Yechidim. A minyan is singular or is plural? When you have 10 people, let's say Chaz v'Sham that there was only 10 in Bnei Yisroel. Is it singular or is it plural? It's plural. So what are you saying? Now, if you want to explain me the rest of the sentence talking to the masses, then where is the verb when you're talking to them? So if you say Re'eh is only for the holy ones, those who can see the unseen. Like where? Like what they saw in Har Sinai. They saw the koilos, they saw the sounds. What do you mean you see the sounds? Wow, what do you think the sounds are? Sounds are malachim. And they saw them. Oh no, here we say, because we hear only the sound, though, so the perception of a human, of these malachim, are only through the ears. But when a person elevates himself, he can see that. So here you want to tell me, so the whole pshat, the whole pasuk doesn't stand. I just want to give an overview of the problematic of the language in this pasuk. No matter how you take it and you try to play, I'm talking to this, but not to this, but even to these few individuals that are of greatness, it's plural. Let's try to build. So The part I'm shading up is I used to go a lot in the questions and try to fluff it up and make it, so obvious. But here I'm going to go right away, toward, I think the question is clear. I think everyone understands the language of the Pasuk is difficult. And especially this bracha and this klala. Is the klala included in the bracha? Is the bracha because from the next two psukim, it seems the bracha is applied to someone who listens to the mitzvahs. And I'm going to challenge that conception. You will see. Zohar HaKadosh says in Parshas Vayeshev that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, and it's brought down in the Midrash, by the way, and the Midrash has exactly the same outcome, but here the Zohar is going to explain us something the Midrash didn't bring. That's why I bring it from the Zohar. Because what I'm going to say is going to be the first pedestal that we're going to have in order to start building our answer. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, he created it with Midas Adin. What it means? Everything has to be 1 equal 1. 1 plus 1 equals 2. There's no chokhmas here. You did, why did, no chokhmas, din. The world can only stand on the din. So if the world can only stand on the din, the world will collapse. HaKadosh Baruch Hu put us in a situation, as we brought down last week from the Sifra, HaKadosh Baruch Hu got us to Eretz Canaan. Why? Because it's the worst place on earth. And what if it's the worst place on earth? Then you have to work. Then automatically you have the biggest tumah, the biggest kedusha is inside, and the Bnei Yisroel are the sewer men. They can't have a normal life. They have to be in the sewer. And then they have to dig out for the pearls that fell inside and get them out. That's our lot. That's the Sifra. That's the reason we go to Eretz Canaan, because Eretz Canaan equals 481 equals Sitra Achra. Sitra Achara. So the Canaanim, in order to prevent the Bnei Yisroel to go into Eretz Canaan, they were soiling every possible place. So the Bnei Yisroel with the Kedusha, they could not come in. So Moshe Rabbeinu warns them, do you know that once you're going to cross the river, there's a big side in Yarden. The word Yarden is, maybe I'll mention it, maybe I won't. But if I have time, I will mention it. I don't know. We'll see. So, Be'ever HaYarden, you see now, you see the sun, you feel the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's easy to do mitzvahs. Once you're going to cross the Jordan River, it's going to be extremely hard. Why? Because you've been in darkness. Why darkness? Because of the level of Tumah there is in Eretz and Eretz Canaan. And you're going to have to clean it up. That's the din. Great. What do you have in reward? And later, the Shekhinah will come. Don't worry, the Shekhinah will come later, and you're going to have the Beis HaMikdash, and then you're going to have the oil. You know what? Let me give it to you. Why not? Because it's gonna crisp the whole thing. Yarden, okay? It's composed by two things here. Going down, this equals to 414. Equals to Oyer and Sof. You see the light that you have right now, which is from the light of the Mishkan of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Oyer and Sof of Ma'aseh Bereshis. Forget about it. You're not going to have it no more. Whoa, it's easy to do mitzvahs when you're under the light. It's very hard when you're in the darkness, when you're in the dinim. Very hard. And you want some time to give up. But don't give up, because where you're going down, you see that nun that goes very long, it represents the nachash. Like, you know, like the emblem of the pharmacies. They put it like this. In the Torah, the end of nun always represents the nachash. This is you going down from the Oyer and Soif down to the belly of the nachash, and we expect from you to bring up the nitzoitzos and prepare the land for the Shekhinah to be able to come in there. That's the mission of the Bnei Yisroel, really. Nebuch, they came out of Mitzrayim. They've been 40 years in the desert. Now you're telling them the worst land, the worst mission. Yeah, that's the din. Because they are Bnei Yisroel, the din that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created in the world is they have to go. But the Zohar says HaKadosh Baruch Hu did also something else, because he saw that the world cannot exist only on din. He took the din and he wrapped it up with mercy, with rachamim. So since he wrapped it up with rachamim, the rachamim are like a barrier and preventing the din from coming out. So the din always want to come out. Mercy wraps it up. Okay. So if rachamim are basically my safeguard, what is the recipe to have a thicker layer? Because I don't want the din to ever come out on me, on nobody. So my question is how to find out, how to thicken up the layer of rachamim so the din has nothing to do with me. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu goes, the Zohar goes on and says, you know why HaKadosh Baruch Hu punishes sometime a person even if he has no sin? Because he loves him. Oh yeah, that's really the thing. We're gonna see from Chazal, they didn't want any of it. I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about the Talmidim of Hillel HaZaken. They're gonna refuse and refute that kind, exactly that kind of definition of lifestyle of whatever. No, this is not Bnei Yisroel. They don't want to have any part with it. But the Zohar says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when he loves someone, and where do we see that? When tzaddikim are being punished, and they have no sin. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so it's almost defying the logic. The person you're trying to work with a consolation, tell him, you know what, HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves you, that's why he does this to you. The guy feels to tell you two words and go fly a kite and leave me alone. I have enough with my problem that you really, talking garbage to me. But the Zohar Kodesh says it. That because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants him to get even more schar in Olam Haba, I mean, is there any other way to get schar in Olam Haba rather than, isn't learning Torah give you schar in Olam Haba? Isn't it being Gemilas Chasadim giving me? Why do I have to go through that dark path? Anyway, so on one hand, we have HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the din and the rachmim, and we have to understand how to protect ourselves from the din. On the other hand, we see that when he's a tzaddik, he's not protected. And this is not up to the layer of rachmim. So basically the Zohar for me in here is in full contradiction. If it's something embedded in the creation of the world that Rachamim preventing, let it prevent for everybody. If it's not embedded in the creation and it's something that goes on by person, then don't tell me the creation is like this. Tell me that it's a midah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he behaves like this with some and behaves differently with someone else. So how do I get my bracha? Is the Rachmim my bracha? Is the klala the din? Where are we exactly? Moshe Rabbeinu, you're talking here in secretive language. You're not clear. It's ha-beracha, the beracha, the bracha of Hashem that gives wealth, because Hashem Tashi you're talking about, and the klala is the punishment, the din. I mean, it's really Zohar HaKadosh in Pashas Ekev. It's going to blow your minds off. And I'm going to bring it from the Zohar first. I'm going to bring it in the Gemara, and I'm going to bring it in the Midrash. It's across the board. It's as if it's common knowledge. And it's beyond defying every logic. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was looking for a good midah to pair it with the Bnei Yisroel. And he was happy when he found poverty. And he said, this is the best midah, and I will pair it with the Bnei Yisroel. They got stricken then with poverty. How can poverty, which is, the Gemara says in Nedarim, Samech Dalet Amud Beis, in Aveda Zara, I think it's Hey Amud Aleph, that 4 are considered dead. 4, living people are considered dead. One of them is the ani. One of the 4 is the ani. The worst one of the 4, put it that way. So we have Mitzoira, the one who leprosies. We have the one without children. We have the ani, and we have the blind. And the ani being the worst. When the Satan went to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu was getting a lot of, was praising Eov as being a true Eved of Hashem. Satan came and says, no wonder. You showered him with all the blessings. Why shouldn't he be good to you? The more he's, the more you shower him, the better he is with you, because he understood how things are working. So automatically, it's just like a baby that suckles from milk from his mother, because he knows that you give him, he's going to get more. He says, try him. And let's see what will happen. The Satan says, you will see, as soon as you strike him with the din, he will renege everything. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is very challenging this discussion. They're much deeper than just the paint, the outside paint we're seeing. But let's learn the Midrash in Pashtus first. It's brought down in Zohar rules also this. So it's across the board. Chazal say, so we find in the Gemara, in the Midrash, in the Zohar. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm allowing you to strike him, but I'm not allowing you to touch his life. Someone wanted his life. Eov, such a big tzaddik, he's going to be able to be metame this body. Hashem said, you're not touching his life. Okay. So Hashem asked Eov, if I had to give you a choice, between Yisurim, tremendous Yisurim, or poverty. Which one would you choose? Yosef HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what's the question? If you strike me, Chaz v'Shalom, with poverty, how am I going to go to the market and buy something to eat and stay without food? How am I going to be able to sustain it? No, send me Yisurim. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu started sending him Yisurim. Children died. He lost his money. His body was stricken. And Eof started challenging up there. We're not talking about a commoner from the 21st century. We're talking about the tzaddik Eof. He was the Gadol Adoyer. He was suffering. Now you're going to tell me that, okay, you know, he lost 7 sons, 7 daughters, whatever. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, he used to keep the tooth of his 10th child. Rabbi Eliezer HaGadol lost his children. They didn't speak about, like Eof spoke HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We see, okay, there's a difference between them, but we see that once you push someone back to the wall, expect a reaction. And when HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts a person back to the wall and he's only him, and he sees his family suffering, his children, without food, what do you expect this human being doing? How come HaKadosh Baruch Hu did you choose Anius for Bnei Yisroel? That's the bracha you found for us? Sorry, I'm going to be very clear. That bracha, we don't want it. Nobody wants it. Who wants to be stricken by Anius? Chazal tell us, and this is the Torah on which the world is standing, that Anius is death. Not only this, says the Midrash, you put all the Yisurim of the world on one side of the scale, and Anius on the other side, Anius will be heavier. Now that's Zohar Kodesh. That's what you want for us? No. Moshe Rabbeinu, when he speaks about the brachas, it's light. Brachas is the names of Hashem. Is the Yudke Vavke with the 4 different openings. I'm not going into it now. So, with the 4 miluyim. So, names of Hashem, there's no darkness. It's light. Why do you want us to be in the darkness, closed up in the darkness? That's the only thing you found for us, HaKadosh Baruch Hu? It's ununderstandable. Now, I would understand the language, bracha, klala, you get your bracha, but there's a klala in there. Doesn't work for us. The Zohar HaKodesh says that so much HaKadosh Baruch Hu understands the ani, that he praises so much the rich person that provides him, that sustain him, telling him that he made shalom in the world. He made peace in the world. Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, the ani, I created him. His parnasa is really on me. For a reason that only HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows, this person is stricken. Could be from the past Gilgul. We learned this in Gilgulim, in the thing, in Pashas Mishpatim. Who is the Eved Ivri? Who is the one that is sold as an Eved? It's always the rich person in the previous life that was how do you call these guys? Not thief. He was wouldn't give money. He was miser. He was a miser. He is coming back into the Eved. So we understand there's a din over different lives. No question, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But this is general what you ask. And not only you understand us, but you praise the person that gives money to the ani And so he stops complaining to HaKadosh Baruch Hu because HaKadosh Baruch Hu listens to his complaints. When I say complaints, it's in a nice word, you know. I'm trying to use a good word, but he's fighting actually. You created me, you're supposed to give me. You don't give me, why do you give me life? Why do this Russia gets, you know, has all, is under the sun? What did I do to you, he says, the Ani HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that you strike me so hard? That you don't accept my feelings, that you don't do nothing. You don't answer me. You know how Ani Nebuch, he gets crazy in his mind? And HaKadosh Baruch Hu prays tremendously the person. So we see even HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself understand that this midah is not a good midah. So what do you want it for us? Sorry, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please. Give us plenty. Don't give us anything like this. We're not interested in this. The question, if we want to summarize everything we have said right now into one question, is, and the Zohar mentioned that a million times. The Torah, it's Etz HaChaim. Etz HaChaim is the tree of life. Tree of life, wherever there is life, because what is life? Life is Yud Ke Vav Ke, Kehye Yud Ke Vav Ke. Names of Hashem, in the Chochmah, in the Bina, in the Tiferes. This is the symbol of life. Nobody can fathom that there would be darkness, Chas v'Shalom, around the name of Hashem. This, especially at this high level of Chochmah and Bina, it's impossible. So, if we learn Torah, why should Bnei Torah be stricken bedavka with Aniyas? Makes no sense. They're holding on the Etz HaChaim, and you gave them the Ilana de Moisa, the tree of death, which is Aniyas. Tree of death. Rabbi Chia. So it doesn't make sense. The bracha is not here. So how we define? How do we approach ourselves to the bracha? How do we get the bracha? What is Moshe Rabbeinu? Now I understand. Moshe Rabbeinu here is talking in the side, but we better. The question is so flagrant and so unsettling that we need to find a very, very clear and very strong answer. So we understand exactly what this means. The Gemara in Bracha says, Abichia got sick, very sick. Came here, Rabbi Yochanan, he saw him, and he says, Chavivin, Yisurin, or not? Are you appreciating? Are you doing your avodah through Yisurim, or you don't want any of it, any part of it? Rabbi Chia answered, Loihen veloy secharon. I don't want any of them, and not even their reward. Rabbi Yochanan told him, give me my hand, give me your hand. He gave him his hand, and right away he cured him. Became better. The machla went away. There's a whole soid yad in yad. Was in a share I gave 2 years ago, a little bit. Maybe one of these days we're gonna go into this. What is the hand? Why 5 fingers? Why 14 phalanges? Why everything? Why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu create the hand the way it looks? What's the side of the hand? Because it started with Noach only to have a hand like this. Before Noach, they didn't have hands like this. So what did they have? But again, I don't want to go into it. Then one time is Rabbi Yochanan that got very sick. Rabbi Chanina When Doisa came to visit him, he said, Chavivin alecha Yisurim. Do you appreciate the Yisurim? You want them in order to keep your avoid? He said, no. Yochanan, Talmud of Hillel that Hillel loved. Lo yehen velo yischaran. Don't want any of it. One time he was Rabbi Eliezer HaGadol, the Rebbe of Rabbi Akiva. He got sick, and he was so poor. Yochanan went to his house, so there was not even an air in the house. So what did he do? He raised his short sleeve, and his skin was shining so much that the whole house lit up. And don't think it's an exaggeration when we say that. Yael, by Sisra, she raised her skirt a little bit. The Torah says the light of her skin went for 7 meters, 7 kilometers, 6 miles, something like this. There's a whole side about when a person changes himself and he becomes part of light, even the outer piece of himself. If you remind me Shabbos, I'll speak on this. I'll add this part. I'll explain you how this works. So anyway, Rabbi Eliezer HaGadol, and he saw Yochanan that he was crying. He says, why are you crying? He says, when I see a beauty like you, and one day it's going to be eaten up in the ground by worms, I cry. Rabbi Yochanan says, you're right, we should cry. And he started crying about this. And he told him, no, Rebbe, do you want the Yisurim? He says, I don't want them or no their reward. He gave him a hand and got him out. We see, we're not bad people as we don't want Yisurim. The lights of the world, the Tanaim HaKadoshim didn't want any to do with it. Nothing. They wanted nothing to do with it. So what's the answer here? I want to go into the pasuk here on the thing because it's a pasuk that's not very well known. You won't believe the answer. That's all I can tell you. That's what the Zohar says when the pasuk when a rich sustains a poor person. Because it's my part. The moise of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the ani. Ya'aseh shalom li, shalom ya'aseh li. Look at these games of words here. It's a pasuk that holds. If you want to know where it is, this pasuk, I don't even remember by heart. Let's be on top. It's in Yeshaya Chav Zayin Hey. What a beautiful pasuk! Look at this. Yachazek b'ma'uzi, which is the poor. Ya'aseh shalom li. He will do peace on me. Shalom ya'aseh, like we didn't understand the first time. And why does he change like this? Anyway, the Gemara says in Chagiga Tes Amud Beis, Omar Eliyahu le Ben Heihe. Eliyahu Hanavi said to Ben Heihe, and some say he said this to Rabbi Lazar, the son of Rabbi Shin Bar Yochai. It says the pasuk in Yeshaya, Hine tzerafticha v'loi bechas. I smelt you, smelted, like the, you know, when you purify the silver, you put it in the fire and all the impurities come up, and then you clean it up. That's how the silver becomes pure. So the pasuk says, Serafticha, I have smelted you, v'loi bechas. But not like, I'm going to explain like Rashi, but not like silver, like what we do for silver, meaning through fire. No, I didn't do it through fire. Only with what? I did it, says Rashi, with poverty. Oh, great. Great. Becharticha bekur oini. It shows basically, bekur is the oil with oini, poverty. Everything we have said is in this pasuk. You see that serafticha, what oini does, oini is basically purifying silver, what we do to silver on the fire. Can any of you live 24/7, Chmana litzlan, not any of you, anyone, the goyim, that should be on the Arabs, in poverty? Can even the kesef, only for a certain time you put it in the fire, not the whole time. The Parasha points out that it's impossible to explain the pasuk like this because there's another pasuk in Zechariah, and I brought more than because I want to show you something about the Geula. Vehevesi es hashlishis, and I'll bring 1/3 ba'esh in fire, with seraftim kitzroif es hakes, and I will smelt them like you smelt. Contradiction with this pasuk. Total contradiction. Eliyahu Hanavi says, "Be grateful to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that He did not smelt you like the silver in fire, only with poverty." But we have learned all the Yisurim. The Midrash, the Tanaim says, all the Yisurim on one hand, and the oini on the other one. The oini is heavier. What are you telling me? All right, let's get to work. Let's start from here. This is where we have the problem. Nobody wants poverty. I understand it, and I'm also with you on it. However, for me, the pasuk could have removed the mokur fully and says bechaticha beoini. What means bekur oini? I always pay attention when extra language always comes to teach us something. If you realize this, these are the letters of Baruch. So is my bracha? Okay, Baruch is the name of Hashem. I'm not going, let's not go too deep here. So here, what game is the pasuk playing here? So what is this oini? Then equals 136. Oh. Equals the name in the das, which equals 12, which equals 17 like this. Es hashamayim ve'es haaretz. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created everything with machshava, with a das. This is the name in the third midah, Chochma, Bina, Das, that controls Chochma and Bina. So everything is done. The motor, the engine is this. But now if we write it in full, Aleph, Hey, Vav, Hey. That equals 136. Aha. Baruch Das. Otherwise, Kur Oini. Oh, so I have like in a bank statement, credit and debits. If I put Das in what I'm doing. If I don't do the mitzvahs only externally, then Baruch. If you're doing the mitzvahs, if you're accomplishing the mitzvahs without internal will and internal intention, then Kur Oini. How do I know? That would be nice, right? That's a good understanding. How do I know this is indeed what it means? I could prove it to you mathematically beyond thing, but I want to stay very focused and try to this new conception of the Shira, and we'll see if now if we take these two together, we're going to find that equals to 364, which is 4 times, mean all my surrounding, like a base, all the 4 sides, you have Yud Ke Vav Ke, and the way we read it, Aleph Dalet Nun Yud, which equals to Sukkah, which equals to Amen, which equals to Malach, which equals to so many things. Yud Ke Vav Ke Aleph Dalet Nun Yud equals to 91. That's why when we go to the Sukkah, we go in these names inside. When we say Amen, we wrap ourselves with these names, and they protect us for the day. So so now I'm putting it on my 4 sides. So when you put intent, now we're going back to the Zohar. We have the din, we have the rachamim. You want the rachamim to control the din that they should not come and strike the person. How do I do that? It's very simple. The pasuk, the Navi tells you, pay attention to the words and you will find the secret. The bracha is intent. No more than having intent in what I do. Like you see in halacha, if you are a bit behind on what should I do? Should I say weaker the yutachnun, or say a little bit with intent? Halacha is you say a little bit with intent rather than saying the whole thing without intent. Intent, it's the neshama of the mitzvah, is what takes the letters Vav and Hey and bring them up. Yud Ke Vav Ke Aleph Dalet Nun Yud. Vav is Yud Ke Vav Ke, Hey is Aleph Dalet Nun Yud. Put them together. On 4 sides, you wrap yourself with another layer. Even if the dinim are coming, they cannot approach you. You're wrapped up with the name of Hashem. V'ro chol amei haaretz kishem Hashem nikra alecha. They will see all the peoples of the land that the name of Hashem is called upon you. What it means called upon you? Where is the tselem of a person? Right here. Right here. And they see this, even the chitzonim, if they see the Yud Ke Vav Ke Aleph Dalet Nun Yud, they run away. Oh, we have a kvittel that he is to be punished. There's no one to answer. Out of here. Out of here. They can't even approach the person. What has he done? Put some intent. What is HaKadosh Baruch Hu telling you? It's not hard what I want from you. Is with your mouth, say the words, and with your heart, put some intent. And what you're going to get? The bracha. If you don't do that, I'm going to start poking you with aniyas. Why? Says the Zohar, so you wake up. You're going to be sick and tired of it. You realize, why am I being stricken with this type of, it's called digduke aniyus. Not exactly aniyus, chas v'sham on anyone, it's digduke aniyus. So the person is stricken with this, and then he realizes that only he has to turn is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he probably gave him this. Everybody realizes, at the end of the day, everyone realizes when they come and poking you like this woodpecker, you will realize. Now, I would like to show you something and finish on this. I'm earlier, huh? But that's the only thing. We started with this and we end up with this, and it's just amazing. So let's go to the Parasha. So we have these two words that were extra. And anyway, it doesn't say ha beracha, ha kelala, why and everything. Very good. Bracha uklala equals 398. Equals 2 times 2 times it's not that you're giving tzedakah. Is you giving tzedakah with intent. The metronome here that defines where you're gonna go, it doesn't say here. You see, in the first, we said at the beginning of the share, is it a third definition or it's part of the next 2 definitions? No, this is a third definition. You may not be perfect. You may not be rewarded, deserving of bracha, but you are giving tzedakah with intent. You are a benoni, beracha uklala. So we have the tzaddik es ha-beracha, you have the rasha es ha-klala. Now you have these guys a little bit in the twilights. But he goes to shul in the morning, he's done with a real intent, the yutke vavke. He goes to mincha, he gives his tzedakah with the intent for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Then nothing can touch him. It's protected. The proof to this is when he told them, Re'ei anoichi, I want to suggest a totally different shot than what we heard so far. This equals to 287 equals to the words Toiv, Ra, the 2 opposites. Just to say, to follow exactly what we just said. The person is in the twilight. He's not in the sun. He's not in the darkness. He does some good. He does some bad. Like every human being. Nobody's perfect. But once we become aware of our chatayim Islam, so we make tshuva to HaKadosh Baruch Hu full-heartedly. So when a person, that's what Moshe Rabbeinu says here, he works perfectly. When a guy is not, you don't have the Torah, you don't have the mitzvahs of doing all the mitzvahs all the time. You are, so he's starting with the Benoinim. We're going to go into Elul, we're going to start with the Benoinim. What do we do us? One mitzvah. And the only mitzvah that's going to help. Tzedakah. And when he says, look, I'm giving it to you today, what do you mean you're giving it? We asked the question, what are you giving us? You're saying something. Oh, really? No, there is something Moshe Rabbeinu Noisen lifneichem hayom, that's the difficulty, and I'm finishing on this, and you're going to see how everything gets back together. Equals 791. Equals, if I wanted to spell Yom in full, I would spell it Yud, Vav, Mem. Now, you multiply it by 7 for the 7 days of the week, and you find 791. Exactly. This tells you, Moshe Rabbeinu says, you people that are not 100% white, you're working, you're in the thing, you're in the world, and you're doing great job, because the lower you are, the greater it works the opposite way with Shamayim. The lower you are in this world, the higher you're going to be in the other world when you turn the pot. Why? Because here you look at a guy, Nebuch, he's working with sewers. It's the lowest of the lowest. You're looking at him in Gan Eden, he's going to have nothing. No. We said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu got us in the sewer of Eretz Canaan. Why? Because we are the chosen people. Why? Because when you turn it around, you find the scale, the lower being the highest being the lower. I guarantee you, a lot of you are going to cry when we're going to cross after 120 to the other side, not believing that those words, you've heard it and you're going to see it for yourself. Do I really deserve to be there? That's a joke. They're making a joke to me. No, that's your spot. That's who you are. And you're going to turn around and say, wow, when I thought I was having a hard time, when I want to think these people were insulting me, when I say these people were going around and saying Lashon Hara about me, trying, they go for your life. The teeth are worse than knives. The mouth are like swords, and they try to pierce you. On this, the Chesed LaAvraham says, Reb Avraham Azulai, and so the Talmud of the Ari HaKodesh, the Galia Raza, a person will come in Din Shamayim when they're going to drop off his chusim. He's going to say, in all honesty, I've never done that. And I've never done that. They're going to tell him, don't worry. You're getting them from the person who spoke bad about you. And in retrovert, the person who spoke Lashon Hara, when he comes to Shamayim, he says, hey, guys, I've never done that sin. And I've never done. So don't worry, that's yours. You spoke about so-and-so. So you're getting all this Gehinna. What do you see from here? When a person really tries to kill you at the bottom, when you're going to turn it around for Shamayim, it's going to be the highest midah. The more they try to bury you on the ground here at the bottom, remember, on the other side, everything turns around, and this becomes what gives you the most chusim. Again, the person reaches the bracha when we not, and especially when we see that the dark side is trying to poke us, the only way is to take tzedakah and give it to tzedakah with intent. At that point, the dinim are stopping. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.